that is actually getting me even more concerned than the political bias, because these companies are sending data to our kids that is so creepy that at the moment we don't even know how to analyze it. I'm telling you the truth. YouTube videos that kids actually watch, because the data we're getting shows that kids are watching these videos. It'll be like something that kind of looks like it's just a crappy cartoon. Parent walks by, sees a crappy cartoon, keeps walking. 4 or 5 minutes into the cartoon, boom, someone's head explodes. Something horrible happens. It's very brief. Speaking of ephemeral, it's very brief. But then if you look on YouTube, you can do this. If you go down along the bottom,
you can see what parts people watch the most.
Exactly right. And there'll be a spike right at that point where this terrible thing happens, because kids replay that over and over again. Now, why would they do that? Because that's how you addict people to content or to your platform. That's how you addict them, because we are drawn, all of us, to accidents on the side of the road.
Of course,
You can't take your eyes off certain kinds of content.
Negativity bias.
Wow.
I know a few things. I mean,
wow, that's a first.
No, seriously. Not for me, even in general. It wasn't directed at me.
No,
I'm a Notre Dame man. Come on.
Wow, I'm very impressed. That is called negativity bias. For those in the know, in the social sciences, it's been studied in many fields. It's very, very real and very powerful. That's what Google makes use of when they suppress negative search suggestions, because if they let negative search suggestions appear, those negative search terms will draw 10 to 15 times as many clicks as neutral or positive terms. It's the same kind of deal. Anyway, Google is making use of negativity bias in content that they're sending to our kids.
That's insane.
To addict kids to that platform and to increase watch time, which is the #1 metric they have for revenue.
Right. Let me just clarify in that cartoon scenario that you have. One, I'm assuming that people would want to be able to kind of verify something like that. Are you guys able to capture that kind of data? Because you were talking about not really even knowing how to capture that yet. Are you able to capture that where you can actually see it happen again and show somebody, see, this is what I was talking about? Is provable or at least admissible?
Replay that tape, because I think you may have missed a couple words that we know how to capture it. We're capturing from kids now. We're capturing massive amounts of data 24 hours a day. We know how to capture it. We don't yet know how to analyze it.
Okay.
So because we can watch a video, we can see the creepiness in the video, but by the way, though, there's a creepiness that goes beyond even that, that one horrible moment,
right?
The traumatic moment. There's creepiness all through that we know is important, but we just don't know yet how to articulate the importance of it, and we don't know how to analyze it mathematically yet. But we will figure it out
in a scalable way, obviously, right? We're talking about massive amounts of people that would be needed just to watch this stuff. And then to extrapolate, like you said, mathematically, what is going on here?
But the good news is we're building an archive. In other words, these companies never imagined that anyone would actually capture and preserve and archive ephemeral content. That's what we're doing. The number keeps growing every minute, every second. But literally, as of when I checked this morning, we had preserved more than 41 million of these ephemeral experiences, and we're going to preserve hundreds of millions and eventually billions, and we're getting better and better at doing the analysis. And I'm just telling you, this is what we're doing is crazy, insane, complicated. In the beginning, it seemed almost impossible, but we're doing it. And this, to me, is the real protection that we can have from not just Google, but the next Google after this one. Because if you don't monitor and capture, preserve, archive ephemeral content, you'll never understand what's going on. You'll never understand why this person won the election versus that person. You'll never understand what's happening to kids. I mean, human autonomy literally will be undermined, and people won't know. You have to monitor. In other words, this is not optional for humanity. Okay, maybe my monitoring system is optional because I could get, run over by a Google Street View vehicle tomorrow. Please, let's go.
I'm sorry. Let's go a different direction. Different direction completely. So incognito mode, does that do anything for us? Or is that just are they just messing with us with incognito mode?
It's completely fake.
Completely fake.
I knew it.
I wrote this question down earlier because you said with Google, like obviously all of these things exist, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what service do you use? And then I was thinking, well, wait a minute, does incognito mode actually do anything? So what do you use?
If you go to myprivacytips.com,
you have this whole list.
I do.
Okay.
That's why I finally started using these cool domain names, because I couldn't remember the links. So myprivacytips.com will take you and your 4 members of your audience to.
Come on, it's 5.
Is it 5?
Let's do 5. As you said, 4 or 5.
Man, that's 5. A 25% increase.
It is.
Wow.
We'll get Google on getting more here.
Okay. So myprivacytips.com will take you to a piece which begins, this article I wrote, and it begins, I have not received a targeted ad on my mobile phone or computer since 2014. So it'll explain to you how you can get started in preserving your privacy. And I first published that in 2017. And good news for your viewers is that I just updated it a few days ago. So now everything's up to date, and it'll get you started.
Okay.
One of the things I mentioned, I'm just going to flash this and put it down, is that every single person here has a surveillance phone in their pocket, in their purse, somewhere. Those are all surveillance devices. Yes, they really do listen to every single thing.
I don't doubt it.
And remember a few years ago, I don't know, you look a lot younger than I am, but a few years ago, it wasn't that long ago, you could remove a battery from your phone.
Mm-hmm. Now
they solder them in so you can't remove the battery. Why would they do that?
Convenience. I'm just kidding. Of course I know.
No. It's so you can never turn off your phone. Not completely. You think it's off, and it's not off. Those are surveillance devices. They're listening, they're recording. If you disconnect from your mobile service provider, then they're just storing everything locally on the phone. But the moment you reconnect, all of it gets uploaded. We don't do that. We actually build our own phones for our key staff members, and these are secure phones. This is what people who work for the NSA or the CIA, this is what they use. And if you want to, if you go to myprivacytips.com, I'll explain to you, if you want to start experimenting with secure phones, how you can do that.
Okay. Well, that's very practical, good advice too.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think a lot of people know this, or really, maybe it's the want to know this. Like ignorance is bliss. It's not in this case, because you just, end up in a very dark place as a society. But I think we're pulling back the blinders for a lot of people. I mean, people have come on and said, you shouldn't have a phone, and like, whatever, you just don't like Apple, or you're an Android guy, whatever it may be. But you're basically saying, like, look, if you're serious about this, these are the things that you can do to take steps. You can support this kind of surveillance system, right? You can sponsor the $25 a month at a minimum. I know we can get stuff like that done, right? But there's also things you can do with your phones. You can stop being the product, right? Because that's what Google counts on, is you're the product, right? Your information, all of that data, that is the product.
So we don't use, and I say we, my friends, my family, my staff, none of us use anything that has anything to do with Google. So none of us use the Google search engine. None of you listening or watching should ever use it again, because it's an extremely aggressive surveillance tool, but it's also the most powerful mind control machine ever invented in history. There's so many different ways in which that search engine is manipulating you that, again, if you really understood, trust me, you would never touch it again. So what do you use? We use brave.com. That's we use for our browser. Brave has its own search engine. It's built into it. It's the Brave search engine. It works extremely well.
Yeah.
We for texting and that kind of stuff, we use Signal. It's a free app. It's run by a nonprofit organization. Signal is excellent. It's true that There are some of the big tech companies have tried to diss it and tried to make up stories.
I wonder
about
why.
it. But even Edward Snowden, the guy who brought all that creepy data out of the intelligence agencies a few years ago, even he uses Signal. So we use Signal. You can use Signal for phone, video calls, for regular calls. It encrypts everything. For email, please stop using Gmail. Please, please, please. I beg you. You should be using Proton Mail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's based in Switzerland. It's subject to very strict Swiss privacy laws. There's a free version, which will probably get you at least through your first year. But even if you at some point need the paid version of Proton Mail, it's like $6 a month. I mean, all of these quote unquote free services, they're not free. You pay for them with your freedom. Now that's not free to me. If you're paying
when you put it like that,
with your freedom, that's one of the best articles I ever read. I should buy that URL, but I wrote an article called Free Isn't Freedom, but I need to get that domain name. I should do that. But you pay with your freedom. You know what? Don't do that. Don't use Gmail. Get Proton Mail. It encrypts the messages end to end and the attachments so that even the folks at Proton Mail can't read it. Now, that's a very different model. Very, very different model. So instead, they're people who really use it heavily, or people who are in business, so they're charging a few bucks a month. That's what we should be doing. In other words, these companies should not be allowed to use surveillance in a way that we're not aware of, to not just sell us stuff, but also to manipulate us. The surveillance business model should be illegal.
Right. Well, and a lot of companies now are switching away from, or at least trying to decouple themselves from the advertisers being the only way they get paid, because then the advertisers are in control of the content that gets put on your platform, and they can turn that off at the drop of a hat depending on how they feel about you that day. So when we look at 2024, when we look at the upcoming elections, obviously we've talked about the primaries. We know that you guys are there, you're monitoring this stuff, and you're hoping that your mere presence is enough to get Google to stand.
I didn't get home till 5 o'clock in the morning
with these elections. This seems like a national security issue, because it is. That there is no question that this is about national security.
I was so exhausted.
If we don't have free and fair elections, really, what do we have, and how long do we have until this country descends into a thing that you're not going to want to be a part of? Right, you're not going to want to be here for that, because it won't be freedom, and it won't be any semblance of the America that you grew up with.
I wish I was.
I'm not talking about a cultural issue. I'm talking about just not having any choice in who represents you. That's the most basic thing that we have here.
Look how fucking close this truck is to me.
Even in small parts or organizations that are government adjacent, or somebody stepping up and saying, you know,
he was on my bumper.
We need to fund something like that so that we can do it. Now, I don't want the government to do it. I don't trust them to do it. I understand. I want, and if it's government, I want it to be a state government or a local government funding it, because you're doing it on a state by state basis anyway. And so states can say, you know what, hey, we'll take care of everybody in the state of Texas. We'll take care of everybody in the state of Georgia. We'll take care of everybody in the state of Michigan. Why are these groups not stepping up? Especially right now, your strongest argument is to conservatives, because they're the group that feels like they're targeted the most by this kind of stuff. Your data seems to suggest that too, obviously, right? Why are they not stepping up and saying, we got to get this thing funded? Because at least it will give us a fair chance with our ideas. And if our ideas are good enough, people will vote for us. If they're not good enough, they won't.
Fear of Google. A lot of people who have access to a lot of money, they depend on Google for their livelihood. They can't take a chance of Google demonetizing them, demoting them, removing them, deleting them. They can't take a chance. One of the best articles ever written about this problem was written by the head of the biggest publishing conglomerate in Europe. And his piece was actually called Fear of Google, and he called it an open letter to the CEO of Google. And he was talking about the fact that they can't, they can't do anything in their business without deciding how Google's going to react, because Google can easily just snap their fingers with or without cause. And the courts, by the way, have said, yes, you can do this, you're a private company, and they can just demote you or delete you. And if you're a publishing house or any other company, you're dead. And the courts in the United States have over and over again said, Google, yes, you can do that, Google. It's either under CDA 230, which you mentioned, or under the First Amendment. They still have the First Amendment, don't forget. So,
which gives them the right to suppress speech, apparently.
But the point is that there's some very, very wealthy conservatives who I have spoken to about this problem. One quite recently, and I can't really give you details, but he owns a chain of something or others around the country, and he's very, very wealthy. He can't gamble. He cannot take a chance. He's in retailing. He cannot take a chance on offending Google. There's a guy who in the but he owns a chain of blanks, and he finally, or his lawyers or his accountants finally explained to him, or his marketing people, you know what, you can't do that anymore. You can't be supporting that work because we can't take a chance on offending Google. The fact that I live my life 24 hours a day offending Google is pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy.
It absolutely is. Let me just change what you said. Those companies, those guys say we can't take a chance on offending Google. You can't afford not to. You're in a position to make a difference. I'm sorry, but it's time to grow a pair and actually put your money where your mouth is. Nobody ever said this was going to be easy. Nobody ever said preserving democracy was not going to be painful. Nobody ever told you that being in a position of influence and power, being blessed by God with resources, I'm not saying hard work doesn't play a part, I know it does, but you're given that as a steward. There are things worth fighting for. There are things worth putting yourself at risk for. There are things worth investing in and saying, you know what? If everybody feels like I do right now and doesn't do anything, then this is only going to get worse, and eventually you won't be able to speak up against it. Eventually you won't be able to make a change. You have to be willing to put something on the line. And I agree, there are people out there that have more to put on the line. You're putting your life on the line every single day. We're putting something on the line every single day as well. And then by having you on, it's like a double whammy, right? But we're talking about the opportunity for you to stand up and do this. I've talked to some CEOs recently, and one of them, a big company, and they deal with these issues. Well, we can't afford to do this or be associated with that. And like, you can't afford not to. Our entire right to do it depends on you doing it, and depends on other people in your position not being afraid to do that. It will cost you something, but if you don't do it, it will cost everybody else everything. So you have to do it. Here's the caveat: if you actually believe what you say you believe. If it's just a convenient idea, that's different, but then you need to own that. You need to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I don't really believe in this country and the ideals that started this, that gave me the opportunity to create a business of what's it called around the country, doesn't matter what it is. All of that, I don't really believe in that. I'm just glad it's here that I could take advantage of that system and make my money and go sit in my house and make sure and pray to God that I don't offend these guys and they don't come for me next. The only way to make sure that they don't come for anybody next is for you to stand up. You have to do it. I'm sorry, that kind of pisses me off because people think that this is going to be easy. It never has been in history. Nothing great ever has been. And it's going to cost you something. And you're out there fighting, and you don't even necessarily wear the team jersey. You're not a conservative, right? But you're out there fighting this cause. There's so many other things that I really wanted to get to. I know we've already kind of gone long here, but these conversations could go on and on and on. And we've already listed a number of ways that people can support you. Bring that back up really quickly. They can go there. We're going to donate. Adams Crowder is going to donate. I want you to join us. MyGoogleResearch.com. Do it. We talk all the time about joining Mug Club. That's another way to fight. But sometimes there are causes we want to contribute to outside of that. This is one of them. Do you want to be able to look at the election and trust that it was secure? This is a way to do that. Guess what? If you can never trust that your elections are secure again, it's only a matter of time before people take to the streets. It's only a matter of time. Eventually, you're just going to think, well, it doesn't really matter, and you're going to be devoid of hope. And we don't want to be in that place. We don't want to be in a place that's polarized. We want to be in a place where people have diverse ideas, yes, but there's a core set of beliefs that unite us, and then we understand we're going to have differences. He used to support Hillary Clinton. Doesn't anymore. It's fine. I'm not going to ask you why. But that doesn't matter. We're on the same team right now. We're fighting for the same cause. There are things like that that unite us, and I know there's speeches about being far more that unites us than divides us. That's absolutely true. Now, there's some big divides right now, and we have to bridge those gaps a little bit. But we have to start here first. We have to be able to trust that the people that we voted for are the people that end up in office. That is 100% primary. We have to protect the rights that allow us to do that, and we have to step up, and we have to give, and we have to do our part in this. I don't know if it takes exposing more politicians to what's going on, super PACs to what's going on, groups that say they fight for justice and for freedom and for the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. All of these groups, you'll take probably donations from whoever's willing to step up and give you them, right? As long as there's no strings attached to that money, right? So do it. Do whatever you can do to get more people to watch this episode, to understand what's going on, and then send them to give. Because that's really the only way that we can stop this. It's not just about elections, though that's the major thing, right? It's about our kids. It's about every single aspect of our lives being controlled by big corporations that are accountable to no one. And get favorable treatment, it seems, in the courts where, sorry, nothing we can do about that. You just, I guess, don't exist. They're a private company. They can do whatever they want. You're the digital town square now. Things have changed. If you, as people who have resources, don't step up, if the elected officials that we have don't step up, if there aren't future Robert Epsteins that stand up, what are we doing here? This is all theater, if that's the case. It's not making any difference. We have to stand up. We have to fight. Dr. Epstein, thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Thanks for spending some time with us today. I know we went over a little bit on time. Whew, I'm a little fired up. This is intense stuff that you're doing. He's not selling something. He's not coming to you to try to line his own pockets. He's trying to fight to save our country. Let's join him in that fight.
Good fucking show. I might replay that on the desktop because that's crazy. That is crazy.
How you fucking? She was tatted on the back of her booty. What was the name? Get no pussy, boy.
Nigga, I fucked this bitch last night though.
Who? That's how you fucking.
I was clapping.
She was tatted on the back of her booty. What was the name?
Come on now. Get around me. Thank you. I'm going to Cleveland tomorrow, looks like. Oh, crap. Shit. I'm not streaming right now anymore. Morning, whoever's here. You're still getting the rays with the clouds. You're just not feeling it. I didn't get a notification that Bao was live, but then I can't find him. Maybe he get taken down.
I have never told anyone what I'm about to tell you, but I really want this job. I like to dress in what is called.
All right, just really quickly, I wanted to make a follow-up video to the video that I posted right before this one called "You Need to See How the Cops Treat This Kid." This deals with this kid named Lloyd. His last name is Lloyd. Jordan LeVar Lloyd. And his friend who was videotaping named Bryce Snell. Lloyd is 19 at the time, 2016. Bryce Snell is 18 years old. Now, I'm going to read from this Merced Police Department before we get to a follow-up video from Lloyd. Jordan Lloyd put out a video apologizing for what he had done. And what I wrote in my pinned comment under this video is that later Jordan Lloyd said in the video that this incident between he and the Merced cops was, quote, an example of what not to do in the streets. Well, what was the kid doing? They supposedly got him for a municipal code violation, not even a violation of the law. What are laws? Laws are the opinions of politicians backed by the threat of force. The government is not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force. Like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. So they weren't even enforcing a law. They weren't upholding the Constitution. What they were doing was they were upholding a municipal code against a 19-year-old kid who was riding his bike on the sidewalk. Now, granted, could it be dangerous if there's a lot of pedestrians walking around using the sidewalk and you're on your bike? Could you, with the speed that you're going, run into people? Yeah, you could. But the argument can also be made, go into any major city in the United States and they rent these electric scooters that you can ride on the sidewalk. And maybe even in Merced, maybe a lot of places in California, you can, and I've seen this, Mission Beach is one example. San Diego is another example where you can rent these electric scooters and ride them on the sidewalk. So why can't you? And you can go pretty fast on these scooters. So why can't you on a bike? Oh, that's right, because the city code says you can't. So it's all hypocrisy. But what needs to be noted before I go further on this is that the kid did not commit a crime. Did he break a municipal code? Maybe. Let's put it in the definite category by saying if there was a municipal code saying that it's a violation, it's a code violation to ride your bike on a walkway or on a sidewalk, then yes, he broke the municipal code. But did he commit a crime? No. How do we know? Because he didn't leave a victim. If you don't have a victim, you don't have a crime. If you didn't harm somebody, threaten to harm somebody, damage somebody's property, refuse to pay for it, you didn't commit a crime. So it doesn't warrant this kind of response where the second officer arrived on the scene. Martinez stopped him first. Gonzalez came up off of his motorcycle, looks like he's a motorcycle cop, and puts his hands around this kid's neck. And we're going to read what the Merced Police Department said, but they don't even mention the fact that they abused this kid. They brutalized this kid. They harmed this kid. They initiated violence against this kid. No, none of that at all. We're going to read some of the comments under this kid's video where he makes an apology. And I question, and a lot of people, other people do, I question, did he make the apology because he was coerced by the court? Hey, tell you what, it's going to go easy for you if you make this apology video. Telling everybody how wrong you were and how right the police were and how much you should respect your authorities. So this is back in May of 2016, and this is a news release. This is dealing with suspect 1, Jordan Lloyd, 19 years old, and Bryce Snell, 18 years old. And the crimes for suspect 1, that's Jordan Lloyd, was resisting delays or obstructing a police officer. It says peace officer. They're not peace officers. They're not keeping the peace. They're initiating violence. Performing an official duty, threatening a police officer. Okay, if somebody walks up to you and tries to grab you and you try to get away, are you threatening that person? Or did they come up and initiate force on you to where you're trying to defend yourself? Because that's what happened. No magic. Let's get rid of magic pixie dust here. It doesn't matter about the costume. It doesn't matter about the Cracker Jack's badge or the perceived authority of the state. Martinez came up to him and grabbed him, and he didn't commit a crime. He hadn't committed a crime. And if you want him to stay off the sidewalk, why not engage in a cordial conversation with him so that he can leave, you and he can leave the interaction and the encounter on a positive note? Why not try that, cops? But they don't do that. That's not what they go to first. They go to force and violence first. Riding his bicycle on a sidewalk prohibited for riding bicycles. Suspect number 2, and this is the guy who's holding the video camera. If Lloyd didn't do anything wrong, the cameraman definitely didn't do anything wrong. Resisting delays or obstructs peace officer performing an official duty by recording them. So Merced police officers, this is what the Merced Police Department said from their Facebook page. This is their news bulletin. Merced police officers were on foot patrol in the downtown area of Central Merced to enforce regulations to protect the safety and peace of patrons. Protection and safety will always be the alibi of tyrants. They're always going to come along and say, hey, the reason we're enforcing this law is to keep you safe. That's always going to be their excuse. So for the protection and safety and peace of patrons in the commercial shopping area along West Main Street, citizens are prohibited from riding bicycles and skateboards on the sidewalk to protect the public from bike and skateboard riders colliding into them. So what's going to protect us from the cops? What's going to protect us when they make that illegal U-turn? What's going to protect us when they run that red light and bash into the side of somebody's car? What's going to protect us when they're speeding 110 miles down the road so they can catch up to you because you're going 6 miles an hour with the speed limit? You want citizens, quote unquote, citizens to be protected? Then why don't you show us that you actually want to be protected by ceasing with the dangerous activities that make us unprotected and keep us unsafe, resulting in possible injury to patrons. So that's their justification for grabbing this kid. Officer Martinez saw Jordan Lloyd riding his bicycle on the sidewalk of West Main Street. Lloyd was subsequently stopped by Martinez, that's the female with the mousy voice, for the Merced Municipal Code violation. That's all it was. It wasn't a law. Didn't break a law. Not up there to uphold the Constitution and your right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and property, which she damaged by dropping the bike twice on the pavement. And if you want to take a look at that video, just look at my last video. Martinez informed Lloyd that it was a violation to ride his bicycle on the sidewalk, and she was going to issue him a citation for the violation. Officer Martinez asked Lloyd for his identification to properly verify his identity. If you haven't committed a code violation, breaking a code violation isn't a crime. You are not required to give somebody your ID. You can give them your name, and if you want to, your address, and say, you can call me ... for your thing, but I don't want to go into your database. Lloyd refused to give his identification to the officer and then told her to take him to jail. I listened to that video multiple times, never heard Lloyd say, just take me to jail. I think that's a lie. Unless you guys can hear something on the original video that I didn't hear. Subsequently, Lloyd was going to ride away on his bicycle, and it was at this time that Officer Martinez grabbed Lloyd to prevent him from leaving. Where did Martinez happen to grab Lloyd? Oh, that's right, with his white gloves around the kid's neck. That's where he grabbed Lloyd. No mention of that in this Merced briefing here. Lloyd physically resisted Officer Martinez, refusing to allow her to take him into custody. Officer Gonzalez arrived on the scene to assist Martinez in taking Lloyd into custody. Lloyd tried to prevent both officers from handcuffing him by actively resisting both officers, but he was subdued and torture cuffed. Let's just call them what they are. Keep calling them what they are. Gonzalez demanded for Lloyd to sit down, but again, Lloyd resisted and refused to sit down on the sidewalk. Lloyd was forced to sit down on the sidewalk until the arrival of other police officers to assist them with the incident. During that time that Martinez and Gonzalez were struggling to gain control of Lloyd, Snell, that's the cameraman, was moving in close to the officers, and it was at this time that Officer Gonzalez demanded Snell to get back away from him. If you look at the camera footage, Snell was not that close to these cops. He was standing on a public sidewalk, just like anybody who would be walking by. That's how close, that's how narrow the sidewalks are. You can stand on the sidewalk, you can record police as they're engaging in their professional duties. At this time, Officer Avery arrived on the scene, seeing Officer Gonzalez turning towards Snell to demand Snell to, quote, get back. Officer Avery then quickly responded to stop Snell, seeing him, quote, only a few feet away from Officer Gonzalez. So what's the limit? Is it 3 feet? If you're closer than 2 feet, is it 6 feet? How close is it? Is it a sliding scale? Is it an arbitrary number? Subsequently, Snell was arrested for the crime as indicated above. And the crime that Snell was charged with was resist. Resist what? In order to go move back, it looked like he did move back, but he didn't have to. He wasn't interfering. He wasn't obstructing. He wasn't interrupting. He was recording, saying, I got this all on tape. I got this all on tape. Resist, delays, or obstructs peace officers performing an official duty. That's just a flat out lie. We have the video evidence. But Lloyd and Snell were booked at the Merced County Jail for the above indicated crimes. No one sustained any injuries during this incident. Merced Police Department appreciates all witnesses who came forward to provide statements to our personnel regarding this incident. What if there were statements that said, hey, dude, I saw you put your hands around this kid's neck? Would you want somebody putting their hands around your kid's neck? Do you think this is even right? In what world would this be right? Any one of those come forward? If they did, the Merced Police Department isn't going to let you know about it. Police officials are asking all citizens to cooperate with law enforcement officers as they are just trying to make every effort to provide safer environments for people to enjoy our city. And how do we do that? We initiate force on people who aren't violating the rights of others. So let me show you this video that was put out by Jordan Lloyd. And it makes me wonder if he was put up to this, if he was forced to do this as some kind of a plea deal to get him a lesser
I don't
sentence.
want to listen to this.
Lights and sirens for a man with a camera.
What are you doing?
Working on a story of corruption.
Faith Patty or brutal psycho, conflicting views of officer accused of abuse. The alleged abusive suspects already in handcuffs was both physical and racial. Ryder threatened a lawyer in court saying he would, quote, take care of the attorney. Ryder developed an extremely close relationship with former Nassau County Executive Laura Curran, who named Ryder police commissioner. Some of Ryder's own police say the relationship was inappropriate, warrant for misdemeanor trespassing. Then, Police Chief Patrick Ryder dispatched plainclothes deputies to Reyes' neighborhood in Suffolk County. One unmarked car nearly crashed into Reyes on the street.
This is a story of tyranny and corruption. Who's at the helm? Police Commissioner Patrick Psycho Ryder. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. In today's video, we will be reacting to journalist David Schuster's latest reporting on the tyranny and corruption that has been taking place in Nassau County, New York. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm a people person. I like people. I'm a hugger, which my wife yells at me all the time, you're gonna get in trouble.
By all accounts, Nassau County, New York Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder is charismatic, but he also faces accusations that he is corrupt and psychotic.
Policing's gotten better. We're not perfect.
Most recently, Ryder dispatched plainclothes cops and unmarked cars to a different county to intimidate and try to arrest a citizen journalist. A journalist who's been digging into alleged Nassau County Police slush funds and financial irregularities. Visiting Nassau County cops who initially did not tell local Suffolk County cops about this raid saw home security cameras and put on masks and face coverings. What were the police trying to hide? What were they intending to do?
My name's Dr. Will. I have the Nassau County Police Department.
More on this incident in a moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop the video here briefly. Those are great questions. What were they trying to hide, and what were they intending to do? Because a law enforcement officer seeing a security camera and immediately covering his face, that's not normal police behavior. How do I know that? Because I've spoken to police officers across this country and showed them this video, and they were all very concerned and told me, this is not normal. This is not what we do. We do not send plainclothes officers across county lines without notifying local law enforcement. We don't send plainclothes officers for a low-level misdemeanor. As they watched this video, all they could tell me was how many felony warrants, how many calls were missed because of this low-level misdemeanor charge. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is all on the orders of Police Commissioner Patrick Psycho Ryder.
Controversy has long followed Patrick Ryder. Even at the beginning of his police career, Ryder sparked headlines. Brave, Patty, or brutal psycho, conflicting views of officer accused of abuse. The alleged abuse of suspects already in handcuffs was both physical and racial. In the case of jury hears comp brutality charge, Ryder threatened a lawyer in court saying he would, quote, take care of the attorney.
A police commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, told another law enforcement officer that he would take care of an attorney. That is absolutely insane. It blows my mind. But what motive does that attorney, who had nothing to do with it, he was talking about a third attorney, the attorney that overheard this conversation, he has none. They took this threat so
Continue to rise through the ranks. I raised a lot of money here in Florida, did a lot with intel, lowered crime.
By forfeiture, he's talking about asset forfeiture. For many years, Ryder was in charge of the program, and he used some of the funds, as he noted in his recent police.
70 sworn law enforcement officers working intel in a 25,000 square foot building, all looking for a journalist with a camera who's asking tough questions that they don't want to answer.
Again, it was mostly paid for by the asset forfeiture program Ryder oversaw. But what else did Ryder spend money on? The commissioner has repeatedly refused to open up the book.
We will never turn over the documents. Turn over the documents, Commissioner Ryder, and I will pay a forensic accountant to audit the documents. If you have nothing to hide, they won't find any irregularities or that you used any of the funds for your own personal gain. Where's the transparency, Commissioner Ryder? Do the right thing.
As controversies go, that's just the start. By his own admission, Ryder developed an extremely close relationship with former Nassau County Executive Laura Curran, who named Ryder police commissioner. Some of Ryder's own police say the relationship was inappropriate. Amidst all of this, over the summertime, Nassau County government offices got a surprise visit from constitutional auditor and independent journalist Sean Paul Reyes, also known as Long Island Audit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are just getting inside the Department of Health and Human Services here. Oh, man, you're coming. Calm down. You're coming up to me, and you're asking me if I'm recording, and stop recording you. Well, maybe News 12 doesn't know their constitutional rights. I've heard a lot of bad things about this office. I'm not interviewing you. You came to me. Respectfully, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to either of you. I'm just saying that the taxpayers of Nassau County pay a lot of money for you guys to enforce the law and uphold the Constitution. You have the right to remain silent. That's fine. Sure, no problem, sir. Yep. Not sure. It's on the onus is on the government employees, the public servants, in order to keep that information safe.
The law enforcement
Starting tomorrow, they're not going to.
So starting today, no. For today, no. And then starting tomorrow, they're not going to let me. Oh, okay. See you tomorrow. So we'll be back here tomorrow, and we'll see what happens then.
The next day, Reyes returned to the government building. Police arrested him and seized his camera and video footage.
I was unlawfully arrested, locked in a jail cell for several hours, and my camera equipment stolen from me. Ultimately, I was charged with criminal trespass in the third degree, which carries a maximum sentence of 90 days of incarceration.
As Reyes started posting his videos, he said he got a flood of sources and new leads about Nassau County budgets and questionable spending.
Today, we're at the Nassau County office building here in Mineola, New York. The more I investigate the Nassau County government, the more corruption I find. The more corruption I find, and the more sources I get. I have multiple sources inside the Nassau County Police Department and inside the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. It turns out that not everybody in our government is corrupt and tyrannical. There are true patriots out there. They are terrified to come forward publicly, but they have been feeding me a lot of information, including the fact that Commissioner Patrick Ryder has opened an internal affairs investigation into finding these sources of mine, but he never will. They are good at covering their tracks. Just the fact that he's looking for these people speaks volumes. This man is paranoid, and he wants to silence anyone who is trying to expose his corruption.
To the alleged corruption Reyes kept hearing about involved Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder.
I have some FOIA requests I have to submit. Excuse me, ma'am? Can I film it here?
Reyes requested documents and financial records, but got stonewalled.
No, you didn't get rid of me yet.
So Reyes decided to try and question Police Commissioner Ryder by going to the commissioner's home.
He is allegedly racist, using racial slurs. I have an inside source in the police department that is feeding me all this information, and we're just trying to get to the bottom of it. How the Nassau County Police Commissioner is using asset forfeiture to steal people's property and use it for his own benefit.
Hi, Mrs. Ryder. Hi, my name is Sean. I'm an independent journalist.
Commissioner Ryder was not home.
Sure, ma'am. I just want to let you know that your husband's under investigation.
Lights and sirens for a man with a camera.
What are you doing?
Working on a story of corruption that involves the police commissioner boss, the news commissioner, Patrick Ryder. Does everybody get special treatment like this?
This is the figure of the police department.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Thanks, guys. I don't want to block anybody's driveway.
Commissioner's wife said she asked you to leave. She shut the door.
And I left.
Okay.
I'm going to exercise my right to remain silent. I don't have to prove
I am going
anything.
to need ID from you.
I didn't break any laws.
You were possibly trespassing.
Will you arrest me if I don't identify myself?
I'm not going to arrest you.
Okay,
You don't
great.
identify
Oh, wait,
yourself.
so I don't want to. I want to remain silent. I want to exercise my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. She didn't answer my question. You got here really quick. I'm on my way. I don't have anything else. I'm not staying outside somebody's house. I was just asking her a question based on the allegations of corruption. Sir, I don't, and I don't give it up unless I've broken the law, sir. All right? So I'm going to be going. All right. You too, sir. Take care. Stay safe out there, all right?
Reyes left, but a few days later, a protective order was issued against him, blocking Reyes from police headquarters.
8 protective orders. 8 stay-away protective orders were issued against me for law enforcement and Nassau County government officials. You can't make this up. It baffled myself and my attorney, Jacob Uriel. How does a judge issue 8 stay-away protective orders
48
against
pointed
government
star.
officials and law enforcement? It's just a way to keep me from reporting on them and to keep me away. No threats
That
or
represent-
violence were ever made. None of that. I have a camera, not a weapon. I'm asking questions, not threatening people. Absolutely ridiculous. We hope to get those orders vacated shortly.
There was also a warrant for misdemeanor trespassing. Then, Police Chief Patrick Ryder dispatched plainclothes deputies to Reyes' neighborhood in Suffolk County. One unmarked car nearly crashed into Reyes on the street. Reyes drove home and was followed into his driveway. Soon, more police arrived, including uniformed Suffolk County cops who had initially not been told about the Nassau County police effort to grab Reyes.
My name is Sergeant Bill at the Nassau County Police Department. I'm looking for Mr. Shane Paul Reyes. He has a warrant for his arrest.
The warrant for a non-violent offense would not allow police to enter Reyes' home. And with the uniformed Suffolk County police watching, the Nassau County police eventually departed. The attempted arrest for a misdemeanor came on a Friday. Late enough to have the police manage to get Reyes. He would have been forced to spend the weekend in a Nassau County jail before seeing a judge on Monday. Soon after this incident, Reyes says he was advised by a police source to leave the state for his own safety until a scheduled misdemeanor court appearance in October. In reporting this story, legal experts told us the actions against Reyes, including the criminal charge, were absurd. So I reached out to Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, but Blakeman refused to take my call. When I reached a spokesperson for Police Chief Patrick Ryder, I was told there would be no comment for all questions. In other words, why didn't Nassau County Police notify Suffolk County Police about the raid? No comment. Does Nassau County routinely carry out arrest raids for a misdemeanor offense? No comment. Was this just an arrest? No comment. Why won't Police Commissioner Ryder allow an independent review of department finances? No comment. What is Commissioner Ryder's response to claims of racism personally and in his hiring? No comment. Was Police Commissioner Ryder romantically involved with Laura Kern, the previous Nassau County executive who appointed Ryder commissioner? No comment. The Nassau County Police Department leadership reeks of corruption and seems to act more like an organized criminal gang than a group protecting and serving the public. To be fair, there are plenty of good police officers in Nassau County. We've seen that in previous videos. But there are also many cops in Nassau County, New York, who keep saying their boss, Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, is a dangerous and corrupt psychopath.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was very well put together and informative, which is why I wanted to share it with each and every one of you. Journalist David Schuster did an amazing job in his reporting. It is about time that other journalists started covering the story. The mainstream media and the local media has been bought and paid for, and they do not want to cover this story. This is a story of tyranny and corruption. Who's at the helm? Police Commissioner Patrick Psycho Ryder, a police commissioner who has been arrested twice for police brutality. There are serious questions regarding asset forfeiture, and he refuses to release the documents. So many questions, and all we get is a no comment. Orders of protection put on me in order to keep me from reporting, violating my First Amendment right. My next court date is October 10th. I am still working with the district attorney and my attorney in order to schedule a date where I will turn myself in on my outstanding warrant. Stay tuned for further updates. Again, thanks to David Schuster for reporting on this topic. It is truly appreciated. Please hit the like button and share this video so that way more people can see it. This man, Patrick Ryder, needs to be exposed to the world. So thank you again. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Long Island Audit. Peace.
I don't know if I want to leave. Well, I left. And I left crying like a baby.
Central 1416, you can show 1,000 or secure.
All right, let's get this shit. Sorry about that. I got to end the stream. That killed the Wi-Fi hotspot. Okay. Later, y'all.